This is the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. Chase Senior here with you. A loaded show on the docket, and it's all presented by Manscaped. Holiday season is here. If you're looking for a great gift to treat yourself or somebody else, the best men's grooming products by Manscaped. If you use our link, manscaped.com/49ers, you get 20% off and free shipping. We'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video and tell you more about Manscaped later on today's show. So this is no doubt going to be the game of the week in NFL Week 13. There are a lot of really quality matchups on the slate this week across the National Football League, but none better than the San Francisco 49ers playing host to the Miami Dolphins. Going to be an early game on the West Coast, 1:05 p.m. Pacific. It is going to be that later game on the East Coast, 4:05 p.m. Pacific. And it's two of the hottest teams in the National Football League. The Niners have won 4 in a row. The Miami Dolphins, in games in which Tua has started and finished, a perfect 8-0 this year. 0-3 without him. And there are a lot of storylines at play that tie San Francisco to Miami. And I just want to say this. No flex from the NFL to make this the premier matchup on Sunday Night Football. What a joke. More of a joke than Kyle Shanahan losing to Nathaniel Hackett. The real ones know. Instead, we don't get the best matchup of the week in prime time. We get to watch noodle-armed Matt Ryan and the Indianapolis Colts take on the Dallas Cowboys. And yes, I understand the Cowboys are a nationwide draw, but nobody outside of Cowboys fans wants to watch Cowboys-Colts on Sunday night. It'll work better for us because we're going to get big numbers on our watch party. But you take a look at the Dolphins-Niners connections here and all of the storylines that are going to take place. Kyle Shanahan against his former protege in Mike McDaniel. Shanahan was McDaniel's longtime boss, and McDaniel, Shanahan's longtime right-hand man. This Niners defense, as we're about to talk about in a few moments, the best in the NFL, going up against one of the statistically best offenses in the NFL, led by Mike McDaniel. Miami, 8-0 this year in games that Tua Tagovailoa has started and finished. He's really redeemed himself and had a good year. His connection with Mike McDaniel has brought the best out of him. Niners have won 4 straight. Former Niners on the Dolphins are talking smack right now, and there are a lot of former Niners players and coaches on this roster. Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert, Trent Sherfield, River Cracraft, Wes Welker, John Embry, Mike McDaniel, the former guys on this Niners coaching staff. Those are the coaching connections. So because this game has not been flexed to primetime and a lot of you just want to air out your frustrations with the NFL, I think that they fumbled the bag not flexing this game into primetime. Type F Roger in the chat. Because F. Roger Goodell, what is the NFL thinking? Mike McDaniel's links to Kyle Shanahan. 2005, he was a coaching intern under Mike Shanahan, and then he started working with Kyle Shanahan throughout his entire offensive career. Mike McDaniel, Shanahan, they crossed paths with the Houston Texans when McDaniel was an offensive assistant from 2006 to 2008. Then he went with Kyle Shanahan from 2011 to 2013 with then the Washington Redskins. McDaniel held the post of offensive assistant and wide receiver coach throughout his stint there. He went with Shanahan to the Cleveland Browns in 2014 as the wide receivers coach, and then followed Shanahan to Atlanta as an offensive assistant when Shanny was the OC in A-Town. And then from 2017 to 2021, Mike McDaniel first started off as the run game coordinator. Then his last year with the Niners coaching staff, he was the offensive coordinator before using that resume to his benefit and becoming the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, where he has Miami in a great spot to make it back to the playoffs and win a playoff game for the first time in a long time. McDaniel, after getting another win this past Sunday, was asked about going back to Levi's Stadium, to the Bay Area, to take on his former team in San Francisco, and he said this: "I promise you that next week will not be about me. I refuse for that to happen. This is about the Miami Dolphins and trying to string another win together. I will do everything in my power to make it another game because I think that that should be the objective of any head coach out there." And thanks to Mike McDaniel, this Dolphins offense has taken off this year after a couple of down years in which it looked as though Tua Tagovailoa under Brian Flores was going to be a bust, but Flores and Tua didn't have a good relationship. They consistently tried to upgrade at quarterback and throw Tua on the back burner. This year, though, Tua's been balling out outside of having those ugly concussion issues. The Miami Dolphins ranked top 5 in multiple offensive categories, as we just showed you. Third in yards per game at 386.7. Second in passing yards per game are the Dolphins at 291.9. And sixth in points per game at 25.5. So this is going to be a tall test against this Niners defense. But I can tell you this Miami offense has not taken on a defense to the likes of San Francisco, who just pitched a shutout against the New Orleans Saints, and they haven't given up a single point in the second half in 4 consecutive games. And then, of course, Tua Tagovailoa, if we can go back to those numbers there, Trace, having a really good year. Up there in terms of completion percentage, Geno Smith is completing a league-high 72% of his passes. Tua Tagovailoa is right behind him at 69.7. He's also chucked the rock for more than 2,500 yards, 19 touchdowns through the air to 3 interceptions, and a league and career best 9 yards per attempt. And it helps when he has these weapons to throw to. The acquisition of Tyreek Hill has added a vertical element, a speed threat, and a dynamic threat to that Dolphins offense. And man, Mike McDaniel has really used him a lot. 87 catches so far, more than 1,200 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle also having a fantastic year with 963 catches and 6 touchdowns. And then the former Niner, Trent Sherfield, who popped off and had a really good preseason last year in the Scarlet, Red, and Gold. 24 catches, the third leading wide receiver on the team for 280 yards and a touchdown. So who you got in this football game? Let me know right now by getting your predictions into the comment section before we continue to move forward on our preview for this matchup, NFL Week 13. And we'll get into what Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson both said about the Niners. But first, I want to tell you about Manscaped, because the holiday season is here, and this Niners defense has been balling out. If you want to ball out with Manscaped and clean up your balls, you can do so with the best men's grooming products. I'll tell you this about Manscaped. They have phenomenal deals, 20% off and free shipping if you use the promo code 49ers at manscaped.com/49ers. This is the platinum package here to my right, and each product from the best-selling performance package is fantastic. Body wash, ultra premium 2-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, deodorant. It's the best way to smell fresh, from your Santa hat to your candy cane. The Lawnmower 4.0 as well, which is also featured in this, as a body trimmer and weed whacker nose hair trimmer, and it's just awesome, waterproof. There's also a 4000K LED light, so you can actually see what you're doing and use the light like Rudolph on Christmas Eve. Now that you've groomed your candy cane, it's time to make sure you don't smell like reindeer, and use their products to smell good as well. Manscaped.com/49ers, 20% off and free shipping. All right, to really the juiciest topic of this conversation, the Miami Dolphins talking a little bit of trash heading into this football game. Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, former Niners, had some choice words for their former team. And really, it's coming by the way of Raheem Mostert. He said, we have a quarterback that can actually sling it. Now, a lot of people thought that was a shot at Jimmy Garoppolo and praise for Tua. He took to Twitter to say, I was just complimenting Tua. I wasn't throwing shade toward Jimmy G. Clickbait. I don't know, Raheem. Got to be careful with how you say things. We have way better talent, he said. It's going to get spooky. Me and Jeff Wilson, a.k.a. Hefe, are going to go crazy. Well, a lot of Niner defenders are taking, that to heart, because this is a San Francisco defense that so far this year is number 1 against the ground game, giving up a league best 79.5 rushing yards per game. And I can only imagine that this defensive front, this linebacking core, the defense as a whole, led by defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans, they want to lock down Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert to not let them go crazy and keep that number very similar to 79.5 rushing yards per game. More on Mostert here, and he took a shot at the Niners for rushing players back. This is interesting because San Francisco is top 10 in injury rate since Kyle Shanahan took over as head coach back in 2017. He said it isn't right And it's up to the players to step up and say, this isn't right. I don't think this is the best of my interest. Sometimes you don't get that with players, but for me, that was my case. I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew exactly how I'd handle the situation. I knew exactly coming off of rehab what I needed to do in order to get back on the field. Now, this goes back to Mostert's injury last year in week 1, in which he tore knee cartilage off his knee. The Niners had said you can return in 8 weeks, but there will be a hole in your knee. Mostert decided to undergo surgery. Now, Deebo Samuel took exception to this, and he said, Raheem, be real with yourself with some crying emojis. And he does have to be real with himself because throughout his entire career, Raheem Mostert, regardless of where he's been, has battled so many injuries. So that's Deebo taking a shot back at Raheem Mostert. Then Charles Omenihu said this. Omenihu having a great year too. I think he's going to get paid this offseason. Someone thinking they go run crazy on our defense. That right there is really, really funny. I find it funny, too, because if the Niners can lock down this Dolphins offense and confuse Tua, confuse Mike McDaniel, they're going to be able to win yet another game and push that record to 8-4 to capture their 5th straight dub. So if you're pretty confident that the Niners are going to win this game because they're confident that they're going to beat San Francisco, I want you to type F the Fins in the comment section right now. And let's chant it all together real quick. F the Fins. F the Fins. Fry up those fish tacos on Sunday. Lastly, let's round out with this. My keys to the game here for the Niners to pull out a dub. Who will cook? 2 offensive juggernauts and offensive minds in Kyle Shanahan going up against Mike McDaniel. Who's going to come out on top? Big storyline that we're going to follow. Big game for Kyle Shanahan, too. You can't let Tua, Tyreek, and Jalen Waddle go off. And I think that the Dolphins are going to look at what the Chiefs did against this Niners defense and try to follow a similar approach. Bubble screens, reverses, pop passes to try to do what the Chiefs did a lot with Mecole Hardman and see if Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle can do the same. Then they try to hit the Niners with some of those deep plays. But San Francisco at that time against KC when they got drubbed defensively, they were injured all across the defensive side of the football. The Dolphins, they are good. There's no doubt about that. Like I said, 8-0 in which games that Tua has started and finished. And this offense, top 5 in a lot of statistical categories offensively. They haven't faced this defense, though. And for the Niners, show everybody that your defense is, in fact, legit against a high, potent scoring attack. High scoring, might have to get touchdowns for this Niners offense, so you can't settle for field goals. Eric Armstead, he's going to play. Teron Armstead might be out. So this pass rush, if Armstead is back and Teron Armstead is out, could determine this game. And I think because these two teams are very equal, because these two teams are very good, whoever wins the turnover battle, I think is victorious in this matchup. So lastly, predict the score. I asked you to pick a winner. Now predict the score. Get precise with it. Miami Dolphins, San Francisco 49ers. Tune into our watch party. Can't wait for it coming up on Sunday.